So this piece called Fire Gorgon is about suppressed anger and what happens when we start to embrace it rather than pushing it down. In this video, I will tell you my personal story of how I battled my own anger and the importance of channeling it into creative expression. I am hoping this video will encourage some of you to also try creative expression as a way of working with it. The inspiration for this piece came from a dream I had, where I encountered a mythological hybrid creature called the Fire Gorgon. The image stayed with me because of its powerful energy. I love working with dream symbolism and imagery, as it often carries important messages regarding our self-development. The Gorgon or Medusa may symbolize frozen trauma and suppressed feminine rage, while fire represents transformation. It burns away everything that keeps us small, silent, and disconnected from ourselves. Fire Gorgon is about awakening that buried strength, finding our voice, and reclaiming our power. So now to the suppressed anger. When somebody hurts you in the past and you can't strike back, the force that accumulates underneath doesn't disappear, it mutates. Unfortunately, suppressed anger will always find a way forward. As much as we see this emotion as incorrect, shameful, or wrong, it will always find the most inconvenient way to show itself. And the more we deny it, the stronger it strikes back. You know, when we hear all those stories of somebody snapping like a volcano, that is usually it. That is when the individuals simply couldn't hold the anger down anymore. They have probably tried as much as they could, but now it's too late. It bursts out uncontrollably and causes havoc. But there is one way to avoid this much destruction, and that is that we need to tend to our anger. Anger usually masks something, a hidden wound, an unmet need, saying too many yeses. So our task is to listen to what it has to say and act accordingly. And I have a lot of experience with inner rage. In the past, when somebody looked at me in public, I may have seemed like the most collected person on earth. I appeared calm, quiet, and well put together, but underneath I carried a big fire, and I had to learn how to contain that fire. In the Czech Republic, where I grew up, it was a normal practice for parents, let's say, to physically discipline their children when they misbehaved. Some parents just spanked them a little to keep them obedient. However, some parents went a bit too far, like my mom. We seemed like the perfect family. Everything looked great on the surface. But my mom struggled with stress a lot, perhaps because of her own unmet needs and unhappiness with her work situation. So when she was in a bad mood, she would often spank me a little too much and take out all of her suppressed anger on me. So of course, as a little helpless child, I couldn't really fight back, so I took her anger onto myself. Then I also experienced a lot of power struggles and bullying from my peers at school. As a result, I became like a stone without emotions, because I didn't have the power to strike back or express all the rage in a healthy way. I was also a people pleaser. I appeared happy and collected on the surface, but underneath I was suffering. And of course, all the injustice of my younger years didn't disappear as I thought it had. It lingered and silently brewed. Then I kept encountering situations that would trigger the anger. Whenever somebody treated me unfairly or badly, I repeated the same pattern I had learned in childhood: smile, say yes, and cause no discomfort. As I kept saying yes to things I didn't want to do, the rage I had hidden underneath kept bubbling. And after some not so pleasant life situations, I knew I had to act. Otherwise, sooner or later, I would snap like a volcano. So I started standing up for myself, making compromises with people, and setting boundaries. And the hidden rage subsided. It didn't disappear though. Inner fire is a great weapon when one knows how to handle it. It is an opportunity to channel it into the right things. Fighting for a good cause, standing up for oneself and others, or into creative expression, like I am doing here. I am not perfect, I am still learning, but I am glad I made this piece to remind myself every time I'm in doubt or when shame starts creeping in. Society often views anger as something shameful and wrong, and that causes more havoc and more problems than if we were simply taught how to handle it properly. When we are not allowed to express emotion, any emotion, it never disappears. Emotions are like a river, they need to move freely. If there are too many blockages preventing that natural flow, we often become sick. And if an emotion like anger hides under the surface in huge amounts, even one small trigger is enough, and the individual becomes capable of great destruction, endless revenge cycles, and other not so helpful behaviors. But if we take our time and discover where the anger actually came from, discover where we are still living life we don't want to live, where we still say yes even though we want to say no, where we are still treated poorly, and where we are keeping ourselves small, then we can begin to slowly take our power back and take control of our own sacred fire. By the way, this piece is going to be exhibited at Nanigoat Gallery in Petaluma on July 31st as part of the show Feminine Mystique. So if you're interested in purchasing this piece, please contact the gallery directly or feel free to message me on Instagram. Or if there's somebody watching from nearby, maybe you'd like to pop in the gallery in person. The show is going to be extraordinary, celebrating womanhood in many different ways. So, whenever you are a woman or a man, this piece is an invitation to reclaim your power, little by little. When you encounter your inner fire, learn how to listen to it and see where you need to take action. Perhaps you want to give your creative pursuit a chance. Perhaps you want to say no for once. Perhaps you want to set a healthy boundary. There are plethora of ways in which we learn to hide our true selves. And when you start paying attention to every clue that might help you find yourself again, anger is often the final one because you cannot ignore anger. It is such a powerful force, but it can go in two directions. One is burning down villages, and the other is burning down the ways of being that we no longer resonate with. Thank you so much for watching.